Thanks, everybody. So I'm on a mission to make the internet incredibly simple, like insanely simple, zen simple. And the cover of the book has an umbrella on it that I invented when I was head of Ambient Devices, which is a company that made an orb that Clive actually wrote about 10 years ago. And does anybody remember from Lord of the Rings how Frodo's sword had an enchanted capability? This is a crowd that would know. What did it do? Right, it lit up when there were orcs nearby. And for me, this was really an inspirational object. Not that I have orcs in my life, but it's an object that does what it does, and then it has this sort of enchanted layer of magic to it that gives it, that anticipates its own use. And so when inventing the umbrella, of course you want the umbrella to know if it's going to rain, so it had a pager chip embedded in it that would give you weather.com zip code specific rain forecast. So a little sprinkling pattern of LEDs would just cause you to not forget it when you left the house. So, what's fascinating to me is that all of these apps that we're so glued to with a screen now, as you know, are beginning to jump off the screen and onto wrists and jewelry and furniture and every surface of our lives. And I wrote a book that came out about a month ago called Enchanted Objects. I handed out some posters, I have some more here, and sort of divides all of these 50 or so things that I talk about in the book into these aspirational categories. And I only have time this morning to talk about one of them, and I'm wearing it. But just to give you a sense of the categories, I talk about objects that satisfy our need to be all-knowing, to be omniscient. Objects that satisfy our need to connect seamlessly with other people. When I was on Jon Stewart last week, or week before, I showed these stones, they're called smart stones, that just give you a little bit of haptic feedback, almost like the new Apple Watch, so that you can connect to someone else in your life just with a little bit of haptic touch, just by a sense of touch. Just to give you a fast preview, the New York Times did a wonderful video that I just want to show you that just blows through a couple of these examples and also gives you a chance to see my cute kid. Enchanted objects are ordinary things that have the same functionality that they had before, except now they can talk, they're connected. These are ordinary things that have extraordinary capabilities.
When we're creating technology for the home, really we want to make something that's seamless and transparent, and that as opposed to having things sort of call out and draw your attention to it, make it a more ambient experience.
We'll just continue to behave with those everyday objects as we do in the world, and we can remain focused on connectivity between two people.
What we're seeing now is this proliferation of different devices that are, moving out from the cell phone and onto our bodies and into the world.
So in the middle of our living room is a coffee table that has Google Earth embedded in the coffee table. And I just found that having access to this amazing zoomable map completely changes how often we talk about travel and how often we talk about the world and how often we look up places that are mentioned. And it's nice to have this beautiful large reference object sitting in the middle of our living space. Our devices can be a lot simpler, and the interaction to them can be a lot simpler. The internet-connected umbrella can just be an umbrella that only shows whether it's going to rain. You don't need to tap on an icon or do anything that seems sort of artificial.
We come from a time in which we need to adapt to our homes and not the other way around. So what if our home could be a platform that we personalize and we customize? The key is how do we create this ecosystem, these technologies that allow us to move from one experience to the other in the most seamless, most magical way.
Some people might think that a connected home is overwhelming, that there'll be so much information in a connected home that it's just a cacophonous environment and you wouldn't want to live there. But I think about how we decorate our homes today. We put photographs everywhere, we put paintings up, we put Post-it notes up. There's a lot of decoration and adornment in the home. And I think if enchanted objects can be designed in the right way, we're going to want hundreds of them around us.
think what we're going to see is a new renaissance where designers as well as computer scientists are going to really make a really big impact in the type of technology that we see in the home.
The history of computers has mostly been about efficiency. I think one of the things that's changing is that enchanted objects can be about adding motion and add magic to the fabric of our everyday lives and experiences. Isn't he cute? Yeah, thanks. So in addition to your phone, how many people have more than 3 internet-connected things in their life? Hands, stay up. How many people have more than 5 internet-connected things in your life? More than 7 internet-connected things in your life. Wow. So people are understanding that these things like locks and plant sensors are really sort of pervading how. Anybody have an electric toothbrush? I mean, a toothbrush that connects to the internet? Has it changed your brushing behavior? No. Okay, so there are these other categories that are persistent desires that are revealed to us through fairy tales, through fiction, for effortless moving. And the one that I wanted to talk about today is one that I'm wearing, which I think brings up a lot of privacy issues, but I think it's probably most relevant for this audience in terms of how we'll think about marketing in the future. And so what I'm wearing here is a life logging camera. Now, we already take 1.8 billion photographs a day as a society and that are shared on social media. So we're taking a lot more than 1.8 billion photographs, but we're sharing that many photos of the high points of our day on social. And so it's really the norm in terms of how we communicate today. And most of those photos aren't hashtagged. And no one's describing, like, me and my buddies at the beach with a Corona and a Budweiser. No one's fully describing what's in the photo. So these types of technologies, this takes a photo every 30 seconds, and it also knows where I am because it has a GPS inside, give you a whole new world of understanding how people are moving through the world, what people are interacting with, who people are interacting with. So far, the data for this, let me just show you here, is only available to you. Here, I'll give you an up-close and personal shot of 2 portraits of my day. This was Cambridge in July and Copenhagen at the end of June. So this is sped up 300 times, but the camera is helping to reveal to me, like, there was a workshop I was teaching at Copenhagen Interaction Design Institute with a magician. That was the magician trying to teach me some card tricks. But they show you how often you're inside, how often you're outside, how often you're snacking, how often you're looking at your phone when you're supposed to be playing with your kids. It gives you this digital portrait, this sort of flip book of your day. And the technology that this really demands is something that I'm working on right now. That technology is called Ditto, which is the technology to automatically discover what's in the photos that people are sharing on social media. It's live. We've been working on it for about 2 years with a team of computer vision and machine learning experts. And so we train the system to look for Vera Bradley fabric patterns, for Harley-Davidson bikes, for KFC or quick service restaurants. And then you can discover the contents of what people are sharing only in public images that are shared on social media. And if you want to try it, you can. We've been working with some brands like Manchester United is interested in finding who are all of my fans all over the world, simply by who's wearing the brand, right? So they can build a big database, not just of who's been to a game, but also but who's a sort of indigenous natural fan. We worked with Harley-Davidson to help them find people that aren't old white guys that love the brand of Harley-Davidson. And we helped a P&G brand called Frenchie's, which is sort of this crap mustard, discover that people are putting mustard on like all kinds of crazy things. So it's like the focus group that's already gone on that you just have to tune into. So now we're reading about 2,500 brands. If you're working with any brands that appear in photos, I'd love to give you access to the tool. I would say we haven't solved all of the use cases, but it's certainly interesting to see authentic product uses, sort of digital ethnography, accumulating a list of people that you want to reach out to, or you might want to campaign against the people who are wearing a competitive brand, for example. But sort of the highlight for this audience, I think, is that if you were to look through these photos with a hashtag or with text, you'd miss 85% of the photos that are relevant to brands. So it's a good thing to tune into. So that's sort of my story and the one product that I wanted to talk about. How many people are interested in trying a life logging camera just to see what you? I think the company was funded on Kickstarter, where there are a lot of other Internet of Things startups. The app, it's called Narrative App. They're based in Sweden. I think it's a couple $100s. But then you can take those photos, upload them to the cloud, and then you can send them to other services like Ditto and sort of discover what's in the photos. So, and if you're interested in reading more about the other 50 products that I didn't have time to talk about this morning, you can get Enchanted Objects. Thanks very much.